Hello, welcome to Canvas, the Niger-Delta Roundtable, where I discuss the future of this region, humongously blessed with hydrocarbon resources. Every week, we give time to reflecting on the topics relevant to the development of the Niger-Delta and the people. This episode, we're doing that. Once again, I'm here, and we're focusing on how to take this region to a more promising future. This podcast is sponsored by the operator of the NNPC, Renaissance Total Energies Ajib joint venture, Renaissance Africa Energy Company Limited, headquartered in Port Harcourt. Thank you for joining. I'm Adedayo Elushakin. A topic for this episode: are today's youths really tomorrow's leaders? Today we're asking a question that's often repeated but rarely examined. Are today's youths really tomorrow's leaders? It's a phrase we hear in classrooms, conferences, and campaigns. But what does it truly mean? Are we equipping young people with the skills, opportunities, and platforms they need to lead? Or are we simply handing them a slogan without a strategy? In this episode, we'll dive into the realities of youth leadership development, what's working, what's missing, and what needs to change. Because leadership isn't just about age, it's about vision, responsibility, and action. Again, topic for this episode on Canvas is, are today's youths really tomorrow's leaders? My guest is Awajimimam Joshua Sampson Egop. Joshua is the convener of the Young Emerging Leaders Initiative, YELI, a platform committed to raising principled, forward-thinking leaders equipped for meaningful societal impact. His work spans leadership development, governance, political ethics, and integrity, grounded in biblical principles of authority. Joshua, hi, welcome to Canvas, the Niger-Delta Roundtable.
Hi, Dayo. Nice to finally meet you and be here.
Pleasure's mine. We've spoken over the phone a couple of times.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
And I'm not just saying this, you're a very busy person.
We are both busy people. But like I said, this is a time for it that we're meeting. So this is it.
Yeah, you did say that before when we're discussing, before the cameras started rolling. And, it seemed quite profound at the time. While I was apologizing to you, because we've been at this for a while, trying to schedule this recording. And you said, no, it's cool. Paraphrasing, of course, that this is the time.
Yeah.
Does everything have a designated time in your estimation?
Basically, I am somebody who goes a lot by biblical principles. And I would say you don't rush things. I don't rush things. I take my time. I move as the Spirit leads. There's sometimes that you have to relax. Sometimes you have to move. And I just fix things on the unction of what the Holy Spirit tells me to do. And I do them. There are some certain times that you have to just sit back, let everything unfold. There's sometimes you have to be quick. Because in the Bible, there are times when God told Elijah to run. There's times you tell them to wait. So I believe that there's just a time for everything. Even the Bible says it's time for mourning, it's time for crying, it's time for dancing. So just move on with how your spirit tells you to move, and then don't rush things.
Speaking of timing, the topic for this episode, are today's youths really tomorrow's leaders? Now, that it's a question, but that question which is the topic, is derived from a very popular saying, which is today's youths are tomorrow's leaders. Now, even that statement in itself speaks to timing as well, because today refers to a point in time. Tomorrow also is referencing timing, so to speak. When you hear that expression, that's the original expression, today's youths are tomorrow's leaders, what comes to mind? What do you think? And does it reference specific timing as well, or is it entirely open-ended?
So, like I said about timing, there's a time where you have to relax. There's a time where you have to start running. And I believe as people, and if you see in a river state, Niger-Delta and the country in general, we're at a time when we have to start running. Because if you look around what's going on in our society today, there's a lot of hopelessness. On the part of the youths, People are living a very hopeless life, used to live a hopeless life. Nobody believes in this country anymore. People are taking laws into their hands. People are looking for self-help solutions to their problems.
I still believe. Sorry, but go on.
Yeah. Well,
And I have
yes.
and I have a hunch you still believe.
Yes, I do. I mean, that is why I'm here, to send a message, tell people to believe. But I'm talking of, if you look around you, people have that sort of hopelessness, that there's nothing good comes out of this country. But that is why we're here, to ensure and to speak to people that there is still hope. There is still hope. Because if you look around, especially among the young people, like me, you and I, I'm in my 30s. And if you look around you right now, I'm living in the future that our parents made for us. This is the future that they were planning for us. And this is what I'm living in. And I don't want to, while I'm here having this conversation, I don't want to create or leave a destroyed future for the younger people. I don't want my children to come and meet this, what I'm going through now. So that is why I come out, I come to speak, I come to try and see how we can turn the hands of time and try to wake up people, especially my age, and the people come before me, to take their destinies into their hands, because we are at that defining time in our lives as young people. So if you say, are we the youths of tomorrow? Yes, we are. Still very much the youth, but we have to take destiny into our hands.
Okay, you've spoken to the timing element of the question. But let's go back to the originating statement itself, which is today's youth are tomorrow's leaders. What does that really mean? I mean, if you break the words down in and of itself, it seems clear enough. However, the tomorrow part of that statement, I mean, you talk about a future that was crafted by our parents, which is today. So, which can be referred to as a tomorrow at some point as well.
Yeah.
But when is tomorrow really? For you, for example, is tomorrow now, or is tomorrow still sometime yet to come?
Well, like I said, I'm living in my future that my parents planned for me. And I'm in my prime age. In the 30s, 40s, you're youths. Those are your primes. And then you start getting old. And so we have to start looking at the future, what we are leaving for the younger ones. Because at the end of the day, these are older generations. They are going to die. But a lot of them want to believe it or not. They are going to live. And it's our children are going to look up to us. And they are going to ask, Daddy, Mommy, what were you doing when this country was, being bastardized and being derailed? So I'm trying to see how I can correct our future for the children, the young ones coming after me. And if you look at the youth today, what's attainable, what we're putting our hands into, people are trying to, the young ones are trying to carve their own path by themselves. There's a lot of young people that are going into frauds and all of that. It's not because of they want to do it, but out of necessity. People are looking for a solution to how the country has been bastardized. Like I said, there's no hope. There's people like hopelessness. People are just trying to get into the system, do whatever they have to do just to survive. And if we do not correct, if we do not sit people down, if we do not start to regenerate our minds, try to recalibrate the minds of people, trying to see that we have to take our destiny into our hands. We cannot form a future that people can want to live up to. That we cannot live a future for our younger people to be able to enjoy and be able to live freely and be able to make an impact. And the most important thing is the formative age, which is as youths. That's the most important time. If we do not impact people at a young age, and our children, and education and all of that, at the end of the day, like they said, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. If we grow up not impacting them at a young age, we'll see that when I start asking that question, where are the youths? Are they really the leaders of tomorrow, or they're not?
I wouldn't exceed the time allocated for this, but my mind is doing some things to me right now. Let me ask this. Another component of that statement, today's youths being tomorrow's leaders, the last part of it, leaders, with respect to leadership, of course. How key or how important is leadership? And then when you hear the word leadership, there are conversations about kinds in terms of you have good leadership, you have bad leadership. So why is leadership in itself a very important thing? And especially even good leadership? What does it matter? Once again, I asked this because you referenced to parents a while ago. And even those before them who are dead, those who are parents now are going to die. We eventually are going to die. So what's the point to it all? Even good leadership, what does it matter if whatever good leadership does or whatever the accomplishments are, everyone goes away eventually? So what does it matter?
It's history, living in the sense of what footprints are living in the sense of time. Like I know we're having a conversation before the camera started rolling, and I was referencing the Bible, and biblical stories of people who have walked this earth. So we're actually reading about their stories. So what do you want to be written about you in your time you walked this earth? It's history. We open books. The other day I was reading Dr. Dilly's book, and his time as a governor, and it took us back to history, how he started. By the way, he was a very, very successful medical doctor. He was a millionaire before he became governor. I never knew that. And I wouldn't have known that if he didn't write that book. So you see, that's the whole point. Even if you feel that, I'm going to die, I'm going to leave all these things, people will look at your history. What did you leave in the sense of time? What mark did you leave? Were there good stuff written about you? Or bad things written about you? That's one thing people have to have at the back of their minds. What is going to be said when I leave?
So, pardon me. Whether I play a good leadership role or a bad leadership role, and eventually I get to leave, what does it matter what people say about me afterwards or read about me afterwards, if anything is even written about me at all?
Yeah.
I'm not here to hear what they're saying or what the discussions are, so why should I care?
It matters. Are you not going to... There are people who knew you. You're going to leave your family. You're going to leave associates. You're going to leave all the kind of people. At the end of the day, it tells. Because in the Bible says, sins of the fathers, this is upon the children. A lot of people who go through a lot of difficulties in life, if you go back to history, it is the things their parents did. People single somebody out and be wicked to them, basically because of, this is what your father did to me. There are also people who single people out and they are good to them because, this is what your father did for me. I use myself as an example. I'll always tell people that my father is alive, but one thing my father did for us as children, and he would always tell us, he would say, I didn't give any of you money, I didn't leave wealth, I didn't leave billions for you, but I left you a good name. And true to it, I've seen it countless times. I walk into a studio, I walk into places, I see people, I introduce myself. Maybe they hear the name, they want to be kind to me. An instance was, I ran into Dieter Spieth, that was 2020, after I just lifted the COVID distance. I ran into him at the mall, and I went to greet him. He was the former governor. I went to greet him, I introduced myself, and he looked at me and said, are you Sampson Egop's son? I said, yes. Take a picture of me and take my number. That wouldn't have happened if my father wasn't a good man to him. In fact, when I told my father about it, he started trying to recall, I remember that so many years he helped him with something there. So you see, if you're not taking advantage of your time you're on earth to leave an impact, to leave a good name, what are you leaving for your children? Because at the end of the day, riches, money, wealth, cars, all those things are vanity. They vanish. But a name is something that you can't wipe it away. So if it's a good imprint on your name, it remains. If it's a bad imprint, it remains. So that's the most important thing about leadership, living good leadership for people.
I imagine that for anything that's worth doing, there must be a preparation period if you're going to amount to anything worthwhile, or whatever it is. So as far as leadership is concerned, I perceive that there must be preparation for it as well. And something must go into it before you can or you should take on leadership. And especially if you're going to be a good leader. Do you, in your experience, perceive that young persons in Nigeria, especially in the Niger-Delta, are being prepared and adequately so for leadership positions? And whatever your response is, why do you feel that way?
Not really, not entirely true. Because if you look at the history of universities, I was in an event, speaking event on leadership. We had to gather the youths and the students from the universities in Port Harcourt, Mentor Uniport. And the Dean of Faculty and Dean of Student Affairs then in Uniport was sharing how universities came to this. And so universities are more like a social experiment of the real world. People are saying universities, that's where your formative years, your reasoning, logical reasoning, education, everything. You're being taught there before you're launched into the outside world. So that's why they even have government, SUG, all those things there in university halls. So it prepares you for the outside world. And if you look at data from UNICEF, we have about 18.3 million out-of-school children. That's the highest in the world. We account for 15% on the world and 20% in Africa. That's the very formative years of young people. If we are not impacting our resources into grooming young people, that's why you see field leaderships coming up. We are not grooming young people for leadership roles in Nigeria and Africa. And it's bad. Instead, what politicians are doing, what people are doing is that they are bastardizing young people in universities. You see SUG, elections, all of that. People are putting ethnicity into it, political thuggery and all of that because they tend to use them. We're not putting morals in young people. So we're not really preparing them for leadership. Instead, we're preparing them to carry out our assignments for political gain and all of that.
I must ask you this, based on what you just said.
Yeah.
In this context, what does leadership mean to you? Because you just referenced about 18 million out-of-school children. Now, even if all the 18 million out-of-school children were in schools, they're not all going to end up being governors or the president or councillors even. So what does that matter?
Leadership
and that speaks to leadership, your concept of it.
So leadership is not really that, when you see former is having leadership position, suppose that everybody will be governor, everybody will be minister, everybody will be this. And leadership is more or less, even in social constructs, living a normal lives. You can be a leader in your house, you can be a leader in your church, you can be a leader in your school. Everybody, you can be a leader in your street, your community. Leadership is something that is you see it in our everyday way of life. So if we're not teaching people how to be critical thinker, how to reason, how to be emotionally intelligent, how to understand people, how to interact with people, at the end of the day, these things affect an everyday, day-to-day life. You see, if you observe people, you see a gap in leadership when it comes to interacting with people. There's things people say, how people reason, how people think. And these are the same people at the end of the day that begin to move up and become governors or become ministers or become presidents. It is in the formative years. Not everybody will get there, but that's why it's very important that at that stage, at that level ground, we have to impact people because we don't know where these people end up. Some end up there, but some do not. But it's important that everybody has, an understanding of leadership, how to lead people in any way you find yourself. You have to know how to lead people.
You just mentioned one or two qualities such as emotional intelligence. Now, takes me to my next question. What are the qualities of great leadership? And also from what you said, I suspect you interact with a lot of young people by virtue of what you do. Do you see those qualities in a lot of young persons these days?
Well, not really. It's something that we are trying to impact in them. But one of the most important criteria and the fruits of being a leader is that you have to be humble, humility. For you to be a leader, you have to be a good follower. I mean, I think there used to be a jingle when we were growing up at young people in Rivers State. I think Radio Rivers used to play that jingle a lot. To be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. And that's the most important thing about being a leader. You have to be humble. If you're not humble enough to learn from people, you will not be able to lead people. Because you must first of all lead yourself. You're the first person that you look yourself in the mirror, you assess yourself, you see your faults, you own your faults, you change your fault before you can take any impact on another person. So if we're looking at young people and we cannot indulge humility, we can have courage, we have to have faith and human conscience. In everything we are doing, we have to have a human face in what we are doing. In the sense that when you're taking decisions, you have to gauge how these decisions affect the next person. You don't have to be selfish in your decisions. There are sometimes decisions that it doesn't look good to you. There's a lot for you to gain from it. But if you take that decision for yourself, it affects the next person. So you have to look at the collective interest of everybody. So these are the qualities the leaders have to have in them for you to be able to say, okay, fine, this person has an ISO of a good leader, be able to lead people.
You referenced what you described earlier as hopelessness. Very strong word.
Yeah.
But that's your description, and that's fair enough. Hopelessness in the land, and people don't believe any longer. And I believe that speaks to the quality of leadership that we have now. So I suspect you're suggesting that we have a dearth of good leadership or quality leadership in our society. Also, it's almost impossible to have conversations about leadership and the word mentoring doesn't come in at some point somewhere. Leadership at whatever level, in whatever sphere or space. So if we have what you describe as hopelessness in the land, we suggest again that we have a dearth of good leadership in our society. Are we having sufficient mentoring or mentorship programs for young persons to assume leadership positions in whatever space and in whatever sphere? I know the examples I gave was how to do with government, really, but maybe primarily that, and even outside of government as well. Are we having enough of that?
No, we're not. We're not having enough of that because even with first of all, we don't have a lot of platforms. Even the most important one, which is education, formal education, we are not doing enough. In terms of policy, in terms of infrastructure, go around, go and see the places people are learning, dilapidated buildings, young people are learning to. How can that person turn out to be a good leader? They're already under the sun, rain comes, blow off their roofs. As in, it's alarming. I heard the governor at that time give a state of emergency on education. It's very much needed. That's the most important thing. That's the bedrock of society, education. If we are having dilapidated education, people do not turn out good. People don't turn out good. Because if infrastructure is not right to them about, the policies you're enacting with people, what are you teaching them? It's a low-hanging fruit you have to catch. And what they get from there is what they come and show to society. So if that is if you're not paying attention to education, we don't turn out the best of the people. And then outside of that, more platforms, mentoring people. I was having a conversation with someone today and we're talking about a former governor and he was complaining, this governor does not mentor people, this and that. I say, yes, if you look at it, this person has mentored a lot of people. But as a leader, your mentorship can fail. And it fails in the sense that when you mentor this person comes out of society, you have to go back and look at your mentees. How are they doing? You don't just say, I'm mentoring people, put them in a position and then say, they're free bird, fly. You have to go back, gauge these people. Okay, where are they failing? Where? Because at the end of the day, experience says the best teacher. So you have, as a leader, you have gone forth, you've seen the lapses in society, where you failed and where you succeeded and where you can bridge on. And then for you to teach these people. So you have to go back and do an analysis to understand that, okay, this person I mentored, how have they fared? How have they turned out? So most of the time, and it's only very few people in Nigeria who actually are putting up platforms. I know one of them is the former Kaduna State governor. He did an Ibrahim Kashim Fellowship in Kaduna State, that's Erufai, to mentor people. And it's turned out very well. There are a lot of people who he has been given a platform, opportunities to grow. You don't tell people that, I'm mentoring you. And then what's the mentorship? You're just taking them around you. They're following people that just seeing them with you and say that's not mentorship. You have to give them a position. You have to give them the platform to say, okay, grow. I have taught you. If you're teaching somebody, it's like you're teaching somebody how to drive. Driving lessons have two groups. There's a theory and there's a practical. So when I take you into the room, I show you the driving science. You turn left here, you turn right there, and then you have to go to the field practical for you to, let me see what I've been teaching you. So most of the times, leaders, they feel they're mentoring people, but they're not. They're just having people that escort them, who walk with them, who move with them, and that's not mentorship.
So maybe some structures to borrow expression, dilapidated. But we do have a lot of those platforms still existent, platforms that molded, that mentored young persons 10, 20, even 30 years ago. In our schools, for example, as dilapidated as the structures may seem, we still have, those platforms that taught children or students or young people responsibility, leadership. We still have the Boys Brigade. We still have the Girls Guide. In our tertiary institutions, we still have JCI, Junior Chambers International. We have several others. We have the Boy Scouts. We still have those, I believe. You mentioned the universities, tertiary institutions. We still have the student union governments. For those who are into religion, you have the religious associations. Even on campuses, you have them there. People are already pastors from school before going out there. They may not end up being pastors eventually, but so you have all of this still. So the platforms still remain. They're still there. What is the problem then?
The problem is that most people who benefited from these platforms, they didn't come back to give to it. It's like taking from a well. You have to give back. Most of the people were taking, and when they took, they left. You didn't come back to give back to these platforms because these platforms churn out people every day. And if you leave that gap, if you're not impacting back into the younger people who are coming after you, you will see that it begins to decline. You start noticing declines. So it gets to the point that people who have been on these platforms, who have benefited, have to go back. If these platforms formed you as a person, you know that, okay, I benefited from it. I know that I went back to my secondary school. I met them. I used to go back there to teach because I benefited a lot from school. Secondary school, that's where I had a lot of morals. My proprietress was a very godly woman, and it wasn't all about education. There were morals that were taught to us. And I go back. I try to, my free time, try to talk to these younger people because I benefited from it. And if I do not impact on the younger ones coming after me, there's going to be a gap. After a long time, I know all these organizations you've named, they are still there, but what is their impact today? Student union government, yes, they were there. Most of the leaders you're seeing today, a lot of them were student union leaders. That's where they grew up from. That's what they were doing before they became leaders and they put into government. But these days, what are they doing? A lot of them are bastardizing that institution that groomed them. Instead of bringing up young people, to take over positions from them, to impacting the knowledge they learned, instead they are turning young people into political talks and all of that. There's a whole lot going on. The idea of governance to some people is I don't know. I don't want to use some certain words, but you can't explain it, how people see governance. It's because of what people have started introducing to these platforms. So we have to get to that point that people who benefited from this thing, you have to go back and with all honesty, give back to this society that has groomed you, that has brought you up, to ensure that the younger people who are coming after you, they hold on to these values. Values are very important. And if we don't uphold values, at the end of the day, we start to have decline because people grab what they see, what they have been told, what they've been told. If there are no consequences for certain actions, people think that, okay, it's fine for me to behave a certain way. But if there are no consequences, if there are consequences, people say, okay, if I do this, this is what's going to happen. So we have to go back to those platforms and begin to now teach people and introduce things that, uphold the moral values that we were taught and has brought us to where we are.
In this canvas, the Niger-Delta Roundtable brought to you by Renaissance. Are today's youths really tomorrow's leaders? It's what we'll discuss with my guest is Joshua Egop. We go for a break. We'll return shortly. Please stay with us.
In the heart of our journey, where the sun touches the earth and the wind whispers through the trees, a new chapter unfolds. A chapter where energy illuminates more than just bulbs. It lights up minds. A chapter of unity, a coming together with a common goal to energize futures and illuminating lives. In classrooms, young dreams evolve, inspired by the promise of a brighter tomorrow fueled by available energy. Small businesses flourish, becoming seeds of prosperity. Energy that empowers and is catalyst for growth and change. The future is energy. So, let's light up the path to a sustainable future together. Energy for you, me, and the world at large. Energy for people and planet. We are Renaissance.
Welcome back to Canvas, the Niger-Delta Roundtable brought to you by Renaissance. I'm Dio. Are today's youths really tomorrow's leaders? Is what we're discussing. My guest once again is still here, Joshua Egop. Josh, welcome again.
Yeah, thank you.
Great to have you here. I know you've given some response, sort of, inadvertently to the question I'm about to ask, but if you will, you could elaborate somewhat. What are, in your estimation, some of the biggest obstacles to Nigerian or Niger-Delta youths becoming effective leaders?
One of the gaps we've seen is that I've noticed in Niger-Delta, in Nigeria especially, is that Nigeria in general, is that we pay a lot of attention to infrastructure, in the sense that we do a lot of mortar and pestle governance, brick and mortar governance. We don't pay attention to policies. We don't pay attention to values we're teaching people. You know, people want to build buildings, tall structures, plaster the name on it and all of that. But the most important thing is policies. It's the policies that form what we have with people. We don't pay attention to HGI, human capital development. And no matter how many buildings you build, no matter how many skyscrapers you build, no matter how many flyovers you do, if you don't do human capital development, it's because it's the people that are going to manage these things. And if you're not investing in the minds of people, you'll see that they can manage these things. And that brings us back to education. Education is a mess. From the primary to secondary to tertiary. These days, people don't want to go to school. I know a lot of young people, most of my clients. These days, they are home. Money is the order of the day. That's why a lot of them are into one thing or the other, trying to get money, because they pay their way through school. It wasn't that way. Certain people pay their way through school. There's somebody there, their class reps who write exams for them, they meet HODs. Once money is there, it answers them. To get a degree, it's not something that you have to crack your head over, so long you have money. That is why a lot of young people have seen that they feel that the solution to their problem is that they're going to have money. That's why they resort to, I'm going to get into fraud or all of that because I want to grab money. It's because of the system we have laid for them. So people will just get money, buy their way through stuff. Is it not certificate looking for? Fine, I'll get it for you. And they move on. So if we're not doing human capital development, intentional one on the people, at the end of the day, we'll come to that point where people cannot defend the certificates that they come out of the universities with.
So we must take steps then to address this. These gaps, these shortcomings. You described gaps in the education system. You spoke on quite passionately about that, and I think some young people might also even go a step further to ask themselves, so even if I do work at getting this degree eventually, to what end? What are the job numbers out there? Yes, there are some jobs, but are the numbers increasing at least a similar rate at which we are producing the graduates, the number that we do produce, however they do graduate eventually on an annual basis. So what steps do we need to take then to bridge these very obvious gaps?
I think...
Pardon me, because you raised questions about infrastructure a while ago. I mean, infrastructure is good, isn't it? Or is there something else we need to be
No,
doing?
yeah. Infrastructure is good, yes, because at the end of the day, somebody wants to learn in a conducive environment. So infrastructure is good. But then is the most important thing, people, those ones that you cannot touch, which are policies, syllables that you can touch. It's something we're doing with, I'm in the steering committee of Rivers 2050. Our convener is Benisa Wikina, and we're trying to, it's a visionary plan, 25 years for Rivers State, a policy document, trying to address that gap, because we've seen that that's the most important thing. We have a gap in policies. A lot of people are in governments. They don't have policies. These days, people come and say, "Oh, I want to be governor. I want to be president." When you ask them for their manifestos, it's very empty. There's nothing there. What people are fighting for is just power. I want to grab the power and you become governor. Okay, fine. You're governor. What are you doing? Are you governor to paying salaries and building roads? Are you governor to impacting the minds of the people? What are you doing in the minds of people?
Yeah, but during those campaigns, they're always shouting something at the people.
Yes, because
what is that? We will give you this. We will give you that.
Yes,
what are those? Not policies.
Even no, those are not policies. Those are campaign promises. Policies are more of long-term plans for the people that will affect future generations. If I'm saying I'm coming to give you road, okay, fine, there's a road for this thing. What is the impact of that road? It's not just saying, no, I want to give you a road. Just what's the impact of the road? People, these days, move and bring developments on knee-jerk and just come to a place and, oh, this road is bad. I know I'm going to tear road. There are places that need a road, but what is the economic importance of this road? These are the policies that would now, engineer your decision. Okay, what do I want to do here? I know there's a certain time, the former Minister of Transportation, he was talking about he did a project. I think it was a rail line. Yes, the Kanu Maraba rail line. That brought a lot of controversy. They say, oh, we are doing rail line to Niger, and then he explained it. What was the economic importance of that decision? It was for trade. These are policies. I want to bring this infrastructure. I want to build this thing like this. Okay, I'm bringing it here. What is the economic importance of this thing? So if you're not paying attention to this thing, to policies or all these things, you find out that you're just building structures that do not serve the people at the long term. Because you find out that it comes to be a waste. Because fine, you've done the road is there, people are using the road. Okay, what's the economic importance? There's where this money would have gone into. There's where this road would have channeled it somewhere else, to bring money and economic importance to the people. So if we're just building infrastructure and we're not seeing the policies to back our decisions to bring in infrastructure, we find that we have a lot of failed infrastructure around the city and around the country. Go around, there's lots of littered infrastructure because people built those things on. I was in the group, I was just feeling it. Okay, let me make a promise to these people. And then you just do it. I mean, it looks good, it's fine. But at the long term, on the long run, how is it beneficial to these people?
I'm certain you get to interact with a lot more young persons than I do because of what you're involved in. However, even the few times, or the times, I can't say how few really, I don't know, but the times that I get to interact with persons who are younger, more often than not, I'm very concerned. I think kind of like you as well. I'm very concerned. Maybe I even have less of an appetite compared to you, I suppose, or even less patience compared to you. But I'm very worried. And even when I don't get in contact with them directly, somewhere or another you do, especially in social media, and then you see the, pardon my language, the idiocy that's pervaded the social media space. It's unbelievable, really. And some of it attributed the decay, if you will, that we experience in society these days, vis-a-vis the mindset of young persons, to the proliferation of technology and the advent of social media. It's a sin right now. It's the in sin. It's the fad. It's the reality. Can those same tools mold leadership, effective leadership in the young people, the technology, social media, even though it appears to be frying their brains these days as well?
Yes, it can. I was talking to an older statesman in Rivers State, in the Niger-Delta. And he complained bitterly of what a lot of people churn out in social media. And those are the things that inform the thoughts of people that we're talking about. And he gave me an instance. The US sometime this year listed Rivers State as a rig zone. And they said only Port Harcourt is where people could come to, but Rivers State was a rig zone. Why was it so? It's not as if anybody flew down to Rivers State to come and find out what's going on here and what's not going on here. It's because of the conversations we're having on social media. If you pick up your phone and you type Rivers State, what pops up? Political disagreements. These people are fighting. This one like this one like that. It's social media. What we churn out there? So it now comes to, us young people. One of the things I noticed, even in Rivers 2050, our most Saturdays we have this keynote interviews with some people, respected people in society, industrialists, politicians, thought leaders, and all of that. And when we're having those conversations, what's the turnout? Less than 30 people. People are not paying attention to these things. But if we are having those discussions, bringing them on social media, a lot of people are talking about them. If you go and meet a blogger and say, okay, I want to speak about this thing, they're going to ask you, okay, what is more of a monetary, what's the monetary benefit for me? How am I going to benefit from this monetary? But you see these same bloggers who just pick up something from social media without paying for it, for people to talk about it, because of what people are paying attention to. So you have to start, re-engineering the minds of people to pay attention to the things that matter. What's happening with your future? What's happening with your states? What's happening with your communities? You have people in the assembly, you have ministers, you have governors. What are these people doing? These are custodians of your future. What are they doing with it? If you're not having these conversations, if you're not paying attention to these things, but you're paying attention to frivolities, to all those things that make you laugh, like you said, idiocy, and all of that at the end of the day, there's going to be a very big gap. So most of these things, especially with having this conversation, is that people begin to sit down and see that people are talking about things that matter. When we're bringing up podcasts, and I know there are lots of podcasts these days, and when you go on the podcasts and see the things that people are talking about there, you wonder, like, is this country not bad enough for you to pick up something and speak about it? There's a lot of bad going on in this country, but then people are not paying attention to these things. They're paying attention to a lot of rubbish and frivolities that people are talking about. So yes, social media is a marketplace for everybody. It's for you now to decide that I want to use my own space to champion this. Yes, it may look like, there are a lot of people who are not coming to listen to me, or my numbers are low, 10 people are listening to me. But keep on at it. We'll have to continue talking about it. At the end of the day, there are the people you catch on to, the people who catch your vision, there are people who want to link, who want to meet you, people who want to speak to you, and all of that. There's a young guy I saw on this show last time, Leslie. I met Leslie sometime last year on Instagram. I saw him, young boy from Bonny, was into robotics, and he blew my mind.
Oh, Leslie,
Jumbo.
Reforest AI.
Yes. He blew my mind. I reached out to him, met him, we talked. I met him last week again, we talked. I just tried to, encourage young people like that. People who are not being moved by, the happenings around them and all the craziness young people at their age are doing. People who are doing something meaningful with their lives. We have to encourage people like this. We have to have people, put them in front of, I try my best to push people like that to, go on social media, talk to them about people, say, there's this person doing this stage, this person doing that. We have to start encouraging people, having these more conversations. Let's set aside all these frivolous things that don't matter. Leave them to people who have to talk about them. We have to start talking about meaningful things that impact people's life, people that change things, stuff like that.
If I may say this, because I worked in radio for many years, and for a long period of those years, also I was in entertainment radio. Eventually, I found myself on a talk radio station, and it seemed like I just found home when that happened. I was right at home when I joined talk radio, because the kinds of conversations that we're having were somewhat different. However, before then, I was also in a space where it was important to mention what Wizkid had for dinner yesterday, or who Burna Boy is dating now.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's entirely wrong or even wrong at all if you're concerned as to what I mean, personally, I don't care what Wizkid had for dinner last night. But some person might find that fascinating news. And it's fine if you want to know what he had for dinner or who Burna Boy is dating today, if that works for you, if that catches your fancy. But I think that you can be interested in who Burna Boy is dating and still other things that really impact and affect your life. I think it's possible to do both, to be interested in both. You used the word re-engineering a while ago. So how do you re-engineer? What's the process to doing this? The minds of these young persons who are just exclusively interested in who Burna's dating right now, even though it affects their lives in no way at all. And the things that actually do impact their lives, they have zero concern for those. How do you re-engineer such a mind?
It's a very tricky. It's a tricky place to be in, because there's a lot of people who have grown up, or who have come to be in those things, understand that what Wizkid ate or who Burna Boy is dating, that's where their mind is. It's more of an escape. It's an escape for them. Like I said, there's a lot of hopelessness. I still maintain that word. These things are escape for people. It's not as if it interests them. It's just something to let's be something that makes me laugh, let me knowledge, If it's more of, commentary. When they have people to drag about, they have teams, they have FC is Wizkid, I think, and Burna 30 BG, all those things. I know these things, I know the people, but I do not put my mind to it. So it's more of an escape for people. Re-engineering your mind, in the sense, is that you have to begin to have these conversations with people, and especially encouraging these celebrities and people who have attained that status to start having these conversations with people. That's why I tell people that use your craft well. If God has blessed you with singing, use your craft well to sing to people, to speak to them. If God has given you the craft of speaking, you're a public speaker, what are the things, conversations you're having with people? So it's basically use your craft. It's the same thing in the Bible of talents. I know you know the Bible of talents. God gave all of us talents. So what are you doing with your talents? What have you given to people? So we have to let people who have risen to that limelight, come back home. I begin to have these conversations. If you have gotten a plethora of people that are following you, that are paying attention to what you're doing, what you're saying, I have to start getting these people, get them on podcasts like this, give them things to start talking about that re-engineers people, that brings up the interest, with people. Because you're sort of an idol to people. And people have seen you as a sort of a god that they listen to on earth. You have to start encouraging these people to start having these conversations. At the end of the day, the interest of these people begins to mitigate towards that, okay, if this guy or this person I look up to is talking about these things, people are paying attention. I know there are a lot of people who would come under the table and say, I saw you talking about this. How did you go about this? How did you go about that? Because at the end of the day, people do not know. You don't know the people who are paying attention to you. Like this, there's a saying, just saying that they say, who will they dance? Don't know it. They see your back. So when you are speaking, when you are saying things, there are a lot of people who are watching you that you don't know. So at any time you find yourself, any points, social media, if you're on the radio, in the TV, what conversations are you having? If you're having these conversations that impact people's life, at the end of the day, you start unknowingly, you may not even know that you're doing it. People's minds start getting re-engineered. They start having conversations, understanding these things, that how is this person thinking? They want to know what's at the back of your mind. Why are you saying this? Why are you thinking this way? So that's the first step we have to do.
As decrepit as things may seem, I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. We'll still have some young Nigerians and even young Niger-Deltans as well who are doing some brilliant stuff, and who are exhibiting great leadership qualities in their own space and in their sphere, whatever they're engaged in or whatever they're doing at the moment. You mentioned Leslie a while ago, brilliant chap. I really had a great time So
Yeah.
he was sitting there some weeks ago.
Yeah.
And by the way, you can watch that on YouTube as well, on the Canvas page with Leslie Jumbo and all the other brilliant young persons we've had on Canvas. But there are other Leslies out there who feel discouraged, due once again to the hopelessness you referenced a while ago. The persons who are interested in political leadership, for example, but feel discouraged by the thuggery that has defined, the politics of the Niger Delta and even Nigeria at large these days. There are people who are interested in other forms of leadership, in other spheres as well, but who seem discouraged as well for some reason or the other. What do you have to say to those young persons?
Well, I would encourage them to step up. One thing I always tell people is that the best time to start something was now. If you feel you want to start something, I should have started yesterday. Well, start it now. Because if you look at society today, because there are no consequences, young people these days respect money. Even if you go on social media, I may be saying something and someone else is saying something entirely very foolish. The next thing we will look at is your pocket. This person is rich, this person is not rich. They will choose the person who has money. They feel that, because you have money, then you probably have sense. But money does not buy sense. That's what all of us know. And so it's because we have put that in society that, you have to go and have money first before people will listen to you. And there are no consequences for actions for stealing or for all these things. So you see people going into fraud. It's because they feel that I have to have money. If I don't have money, people won't listen to me. People won't take me serious. So a lot of these things discourage young people from stepping out because they feel that they're already on the short end of the stick. I can't go and interact with my peers because, they're going to say, do you have money? Oh, you're a poor person or you're from a poor background and all of that. So I have to go get money first. But no, I know in society, a lot of people, I was talking to a former governor and he was telling me how they started off in politics. Jump off in the day, they go to this person's house, they trek on the street. They had no money. But again, it's the same people, our leaders who started off that way, that have now introduced this money into society and feel that young people that, you have to have money for people to respect you. That's why somebody can go steal money and be stuffing in the barbariga. And at the end of the day, that person has become national chairman of a party. Young people are seeing these things. And when they see that, I can go and steal, and then I can get an exalted position, they feel that, it's right for them to go do it. So it now discourages young people who are not, you don't have money to come step into that shoe. Say, I want to go and bring out this part of me. That's one thing that led me to Leslie, because I had to go and ask Leslie. I said, how are you getting funding from all these things? And he said, he's just on his own. He picks scraps, he does stuff, and very brilliant guy. But sometimes I wish I had all the money to give to you, because these are the kind of things you have to say encouraging. And I always use him as a reference point to young people, because that's just go out. And that's exactly what he did. He just braved it. He didn't have the money, he didn't have the resources, but he braved it. He started with what his hands could lay on, and look at how far he's gone in the space of how many years. He was telling me his story, and in the space of how many years, how far he's gone. Another person I can speak to is Ebenezer, our convener. I knew Ebenezer from a distance on social media. And then I was observing his work. Then we started having interactions, and then we became close, and, we started talking. And he tells you his story. It's the same thing. These people had nothing. They started from little scraps, little scratching here and there, and see how far they've gone. So it's the message I have for young people, that just go out and start. You must not get money, you must not get the connection. Just go out, start something. At the end of the day, it's process. It's process. That's what people don't understand, that life has to be process. You must go through a process. Even in our growth, you have to grow. If a seed, an oak tree is small seed, you dig the ground, you plant it, you water it. There's a process. So I would advise young people that if you have those gifts, just step out. There's always a place for you to fly.
If you could change one thing, just one thing about how our society views youth leadership, what would it be?
If I could change one thing, how does it view leadership? I'll say there should be consequences for people's actions. People will know that if they do something, this is the action. This is the consequence of this thing. If we do not let people know that there are consequences for actions, that's why you see young people step into position and do anything they like. It's because people who have gone before them were taking leadership anyhow they wanted. There were no consequences for actions. So people just go there and do anything. Like people go there to steal, people go there to steal the future of people, go there to amass wealth. People are not going to jail. I know a certain governor was always screaming that people should go to jail, that we have not said stoning politicians. He's a politician himself, but you're always telling that people are not beating us, that's why we are stealing money. So one thing about youth leadership for youth to step into this is that let youth understand that there are consequences for action. So when you step into the shoe of a leader, understand that if I go there to steal, there's going to be a consequence. I could go to jail or worse.
And finally, I'd like you to drop one message to that young person who's listening to this or watching right now. What message to that young person about taking charge of their own future?
We have to understand that there's civic responsibility as young people. I want to say for instance that you have to be vote. So when you turn 18, that's the constitution, you can vote and be voted for. A lot of young people do not see the need to vote. They have a whole Japa syndrome. I don't mind people traveling. I don't stop for travel. Travel all you want. I wouldn't discourage you. But at the end of the day, even if you pay attention to what's happening, look at what's happening in the US, people are tightening their laws to ensure that you don't come to their countries. Look at Donald Trump is doing ICE. They're deporting people who have stayed in their country for years. They're being separated from their loved ones. In the US, in the UK, before you could enter through education, go to school, and then from school you get to the system. But these days, prime ministers keep coming and they're tightening those laws. So Japa is now no longer becoming a solution for us. The most important thing for us as young people is that we have to take leadership into our hands, is that vote and be voted for. If you feel that people are not doing well, vote them out. Don't go and carry ballot boxes for people. Don't go and collect money to vote for people. Stand on your truth. If somebody is not performing well, be brave enough to say no. If you're scared, okay, they will kill me or everything, don't vote for them. Don't collect money and go and vote for them. Don't know that what this person is doing is wrong, and then because you're for money, or it's your brother, or it's your uncle, you cannot open your mouth and tell them that, oh, this thing you're doing is wrong. You know him very well that it's wrong because you're a beneficiary of it. You go and allow it. At the end of the day, injustice that you have not taken care of, it comes back to bite people.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Canvas, the Niger-Delta Roundtable, brought to you by Renaissance. We've discussed, are today's youth really tomorrow's leaders? And big thanks to my guest, Joshua Egop, for their time and your profound wisdom and knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dayo. I appreciate it.
And that's a wrap. I'm Dayo Lushakin. Thanks for watching this episode. Catch this and other episodes on our social media platforms and YouTube as well. You can watch this entire episode. Thank you very much and keep contributing your quota to national development. Bye for now.